Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel, to my wonderland. It is again coffee time, and today I bring you a very embarrassing book haul. These are books that I have been collecting from December to... actually only from December. Wow, I really suck at controlling myself. And needless to say, there are more books coming my way because I did spend a little bit of the money that I got over Christmas in books. So I think there's gonna be another book haul not so far away from this one. We will see. I will still wait to accumulate enough books to make another book haul. And in this one, I believe I have a total around of 24 books. But this includes the last 2 books that I received on the Owl Crate, so at least it's something. So since we have so many books to talk about, I'm not going to make long explanations. I'm just gonna quickly show you the books and tell you just a little bit what they are about. So let's start.
It's coffee time!
I'm gonna start with one book that I got at a second-hand kind of store, but it was like a mixed second-hand store of a lot of weird different things you can think of in Spain, in Valencia, and I found a book that I was intrigued about. And it is not a regular, novel or anything like that, but I had to pick it up, and that is Star Trek Inside the Mind of Gene Roddenberry, the creator of our Star Trek, and it is a little bit about his ideas on the show and how everything started and stuff. And since I do love Star Trek a lot, especially I've always been more inclined to Star Trek than to Star Wars. I've been rewatching the original series, so this book is perfect now for me to read, and it is a short book and I'm pretty sure that I'm just gonna love it. Next we have a book I was supposed to read this Christmas, but it didn't happen, and that is Let It Snow, and it includes stories by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle, and it is 3 holiday romances, and I was like, oh, this is perfect for Christmas, but I didn't read it, so it might be that I wait until Christmas 2019 to read this. The thing is, I ordered this book a little bit too late and then I didn't have time to read it in December. So I'm just gonna have to wait until next December. But the good news is I already have the book. So next Christmas I can read it right away. Then we have The Archive and The Unbound by V.E. Schwab. They were releasing these 2 books as a compilation, and I wanted to get these copies because I love these floppy paperbacks, plus the covers are really pretty. So I wanted to get these ones before maybe they just get out of print. And I'm also super interested in this story, and I am V.E. Schwab trash since I read Wishes this year. So I also want to start collecting all her books and start reading them. So this is based, I believe, in a world where people that die are put in some kind of library of the dead or something like that. So that's something that is totally down my alley and something that I am super intrigued about. So it's some of the books that I really need to get to in 2019. Then I have 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott. This one came out at the end of November 2018, and I have already read this book because I was really excited about it, and when it came I just had to sit down and read it. It's also a relatively short book, so you can also get through it quickly. It is about 2 teenagers that have the same kind of weird lung disease, and they're not supposed to get close to other people that have the same disease because then they can die. Because when they get sick, it's not like regular people, they can take months to recover from a cold. So we're following the story of these 2 characters that are really opposites. Like Stella is this person that is super organized, that follows the rules, that has everything under control. She really wants to live and she's making the best out of her life. And on the other hand, we have Will, and he's this rebel teenager that doesn't give a crap about anything. He just wants to be free and explore the world, and he doesn't care if he dies, and he is not even taking his medication. And they are really opposites, and then one day their worlds collide when they meet, and they both learn from each other. I really love the story and the characters, and I cannot wait for the movie because it's coming out this year. Then I have The Body Finder by Kimberly Derting. I only got this one because it was like €1 or something, and I was interested in the story, so I decided to pick it up and see if I like it. It is a story about a girl that has this power that she can see and talk to dead people that have been murdered, and she doesn't really make use of this gift until there is a murder and there are some killings that happen, and then she decides to help the dead. And you know, I always like books about people with this kind of gifts, especially if they involve something with the undead, murders, killing, things like that. So I decided to pick it up and see how it is. Then I have one of the books that we received in the Owl Crate. This one is from the month of December, and it is Amber and Dusk by Lyra Celine. And this is again a book about a girl that has a gift. In this case, our main character can create illusions, and where she comes from, this power is seen as a curse. So she decides to leave and go to this palace, and she's kind of hoping for a better life and to be accepted. I'm totally excited about it as well, and also one of the books that I need to get to as soon as possible. Then I have Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shannon Maguire, and this is the third book on the Wayward Children series. The fourth book came out January 2019, so I decided to pick this one up before the fourth book came out. I really love this series. The books are really short. This book is around 170 pages, but the books are absolutely stunning. I just really love the stories. They're very magical. If you don't know what these series are about, it is basically some children that one day found a door to another world and they got lost in it, and then years later they come back to the real world and they have trouble to deal with reality, and all they want to do is find this door again and go back to this magical universe where they were. So these children, in order to rehabilitate them again into society and reality, are sent to this school for wayward children. Really love the first two, so I'm excited to read book 3 and 4. Then I have The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay, and after I bought this one, I noticed that Amazon had 2 other of his books in the same edition and with the same kind of cover style that matched. So needless to say, I went ahead and ordered those 2 as well. So they will be coming in my next book haul. And the reason why I chose this author and these books is because I want to read more horror and more disturbing things. And I've heard from other booktubers that this book is really messed up and disturbing. And I was like, hey, that's my style. And also Stephen King blurbed it, so it's a purchase for me. I think this is based on a family that go to a cabin and they are being kind of threatened by some strangers, so something that we're used to see in the horror, you know, genre, but I'm super excited to read it. Then I have 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, and this is a compilation of 15 different tales, and they are based on Asian myths and legends. And I had this one on my radar, and then I saw in Amazon that they had it for only €5, and it is a hardcover edition, so I went ahead and purchased it. Since there are 15 stories, I think I'm gonna read 1 to 2 stories every month, and then at the end of the year I'll just have 1 extra book added to my read books. I also got Wicked Like a Wildflower by Lana Popovic. I had seen people in the book... I had seen this book in some people's videos here in the booktube community saying that they really loved it, and it had really good reviews as well in Goodreads, and I decided to pick it up. Also, it is a very beautiful cover, and it is just a duology, and the other book just came out, so it means that if I like this one, I can jump straight to the second book. I believe it's a story about some twin sisters, and one of them has the power of manipulating beauty with magic or something like that, but she's told not to tell anybody about this power, something like that. It seems like a really interesting fantasy, so I can't wait to read it. Then I have The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin, and the reason why I picked this one up is because I saw it somewhere on my Amazon being suggested to me, and I read a little bit what it was about, and I was like, that sounds like something I really want to read about. And it's just basically a group of kids that figure out how they're gonna die. Do you remember the movie Big Fish by Tim Burton? There is these kids that go to this old woman's house, and the legend is that she has a glass eye, and if you stare at it you will see how you die. That's what it kind of reminded me of. So basically this is a story in which some kids are told how they're gonna die. So it kind of reflects, I'm just guessing now, it kind of reflects on what would you do if you would know how and when you're gonna die. Sounded super intriguing to me, and definitely one of the books I want to get to this year. Then we have Dumpling by Julie Murphy, and I got this book because the Netflix movie was coming out, and then when I got the book, the Netflix movie came out, but it's not on Netflix Germany. So now I cannot watch the movie, but it's fine because I still have not read the book, so I have time. But it's one of those books that was in my radar that, you know, I knew I wanted to read, but I never purchased it, and now I have a copy. I think it's about a girl that she is plus size and her mom is this really well-known pageant queen or something like that, and then she also wants to do that, but because of her size she's being criticized. I'm just guessing that's what happens. And so I'm really interested because I have not read something like this about pageant, like beauty pageant things, and I'm also excited to read a novel about a plus size girl because I don't have many on my TBR, which is a shame. So I'm super excited to read it, and hopefully after I read it, Netflix will finally bring it to Germany. Then I have Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaeffer, and this book, it is a 2018 release that really caught my attention because the story was something really cool, original, and kind of gory. So it's basically the story of Nita. So Nita's mom works kind of in the black market. We live in a world where we have supernatural creatures, and basically Nita's mom, when they kill the supernatural creatures, she tears apart the bodies and she sells their body parts on the internet. Until one day where they get a specimen that is still alive. Sounded super interesting to me, and I am super intrigued to know what happens. Next we have Prophecy by Ellen O, and I got this book because it was blurbed to be something like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and it is supposed to be a demon slayer, so you can see the resemblance there. And it also says here, one girl will save us all, which is also Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It is a trilogy, but I think I'm gonna wait and read the first book before I get the other ones. Then we have This Monstrous Thing by Mackenzie Lee. I got this one just because it is a Frankenstein retelling, so I was interested to see what they did with the original tale. Then I have two other books by Mackenzie Lee. I have The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue and The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. There was so much talk about this book on the booktube community that it really caught my interest, so I had it on my radar. And then they also released the second book, and I had them there on my Amazon radar. And then one day the prices for both books just dropped, and I decided to grab them. All that I know about these two books is that they are historical novels, but they have this kind of humorous twist. And I also know that this is not a sequel, it's like a totally different book, so you can read them in either order. But now that I have them, I hope to at least be able to read this one this year. Then I have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and this caught my attention because some booktubers mentioned this book, and it was something that they described totally different from what they have read, so I was like, I'm interested in that. And I absolutely love this stunning cover. Also, the end pages are beautiful, and it is supposed to be based on some students that are kind of actors, you know, that do the same Shakespeare plays or something like that. I just don't want to know way too much about it because you're supposed to, you know, be surprised by the book, so I didn't want to get too much into the synopsis of the book. But I'm super excited to read it, and it's one of those that I really want to get to this year. Then I have Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ignan, and we got this one in the L Crate for November. Every year 8 girls are chosen to be the paper girls for the king. It's basically to serve him. And then one year, instead of 8, there are 9 girls that are chosen. But the last one, it's not a paper girl, it's a fire girl. Sounds really interesting. Everybody is currently reading this in the booktube community, so I really hope to get to it soon. Next we have Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young, and I got this one because I'm interested in the story being a girl that is a Viking, so it's not something so usual. And I believe she thinks her brother is dead until one day in battle she finds her brother fighting with the enemies on the enemy side, and that sounded interesting to me. And it's been praised in the booktube community as well. A lot of people that I follow liked it, so I'm willing to give it a try. Then I have a book that I basically just bought for collection purposes, and that is The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. I already own this book in a paperback edition, but a very regular paperback, so I decided to pick this one up because it's really beautiful and pretty, and it's a hardback. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get a better collection from Stephen King's books, since he's one of my favorite authors, if not the author, because I got really obsessed with him when I was a teenager, and that has not changed. So most of the books that I have from him are paperbacks or even mass market paperbacks, and I want to change that and start getting the nice hardcover editions. Also, the very first books from Stephen King that I read as a teenager are Spanish paperbacks, because, you know, I was a teenager living in Spain and my English knowledge was not at the level where I could fully comprehend Stephen King's books, because they are very dense and deep. So now I would like, you know, to spend some of the money towards like a collection of nice Stephen King editions, and I just saw this one on Amazon for a good price and I decided to pick it up, and at some point I guess I'll get rid of my paperback and just keep this one. This is a collection of stories. He has a couple of books that are collections of stories and I love to read those. I have already read these stories, but I might reread them either this year or next year and just read one a month. But yeah, this purchase was basically just for collection purposes. So the last two books that I have to show you belong to a series that I'm going to start in 2019. But this series just ended at the end of 2018. You've probably figured it out, and that is the Throne of Glass series. So, by Sarah J. Maas, needless to say. So, we have here Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, which are book 1 and 2 on the series. There is a total, I think, of 7 books, and the last one just came out at the end of 2018. And I decided to give it a try. I don't know if I'm gonna love it or not, we will see, but I decided to pick up the first 2 books and start the series and see if I like it. I don't know much about the actual story because I didn't want to get like extremely spoiled, because I think now that all the books are out, it's easy to watch videos from people even making spoiler-free reviews and maybe getting still a little bit spoiled. I don't know, so I just didn't want to read too much about it. I believe we follow a girl that has to fight for her life or kill or something like that, so we will see. So these are all the new books that I had to haul for you. I was hoping I was not gonna get so many books in December, but but that didn't happen. As you can see, zero control. And I guess my excuse is because I got a lot of books out of my shelves. I kind of unhauled some books when I reorganized my shelves. So that might be why I thought it was a good idea to get more and more books. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Let me know down below what you thought about the books that I have shown you. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. All my social media is listed down below. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!